is Psychopinion. Now your hosts, Jake, Rob, Steve, Jen, and sometimes Liza.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Psychopinion. Tonight we've got an awesome fucking guest here. This is my buddy Kyle. We've known each other. We just discussed it for about 16 or so years. And my man is working on and just about completely finished with this badass looking zombie comic. So we're on here talking about that tonight. So welcome, Kyle. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I will never pass up an opportunity to talk about my comic book, especially with a friend I haven't spoken to in God, over a decade, probably. Yeah, that's a yes for me all the way around.
Well, I'm also putting you on the show because I'm hoping that'll get me a autographed copy sent to me.
Oh, we can definitely work something out. Hey, and not for nothing, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a spoiler here. Issue 2, which I'm currently already working on, is going to change the perspective, and it's going to be told through the eyes of 2 podcasters that survived. I can maybe make a network of podcasters who survived, because
awesome.
it's going to be over like the radio waves, and I'm going to use them as basically the narrator. And
That's
so instead
cool.
of having just exposition dumps thrown in there or just a narration section, no, it's going to be literally heard by the characters and to the reader as well, so that they can get all that information without it just dragging on. Like it's, oh, we're listening to someone say this on the radio.
Well, I'll tell you now.
I like that a lot.
If you need some inspiration, like you need me to send you some headshots or something to base a character off of this,
Yeah.
let me know.
Oh, so no, for real, we'll definitely do that. Because I'm doing that with I've got 2 friends who have a podcast. They do only indie comics. And I've been with them since the beginning. We've long journey with those guys. They've already sent me the headshots. I'm already working on the character designs. We could definitely do that. And like I said, so when it comes to this book, it's basically if it would happen to our world. It's not our world. It's a world similar to ours. So like there's pop culture references. Like the characters know The Walking Dead and things like that, because it exists in their world like it would in ours.
That's
so
cool.
And one of the highest levels of backing on the Ashcan Kickstarter was to get drawn into the book. And every one of the people who bought in that high, I've literally created characters for them that are like integral to the story. So it's not like they just like are just background characters. Like one guy's gonna end up being like the right hand of the big bad that comes later in the story. We've got like some random people that show up that are part of things down the line. I want this to feel as real as possible. So how do you do that? You put real people in it.
Yeah, you base it off of characters that you know and talk about what you know, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to ask you. That was my first question. So kind of tell us a little bit about what this comic book is about. Of course, you don't want to give everything away, so people have something to look forward to. But what are we looking at here? Kind of walk us through this story a little bit.
So initially, when I started coming up with this story, it wasn't a zombie book. It was just a story to tell the downfall of humanity, because I feel that if society wasn't around telling us how to behave, most humans would be horrible, borderline monsters. So, and I thought, how do you tell that story? Well, it has to be in some kind of a post-apocalyptic event. What do I love a lot? Zombies. So then I made it work for the zombie genre, but it's really a story about the downfall of humanity and just how depraved the human race will become if society is no longer behind you. Like, oh, don't do that, you're gonna get in trouble. No, it's how I think a lot of humans would act, would just be right off the deep end, not even like dipping a toe in the water. Like they're just diving right into that cesspool. And I think it's gonna be fun to explore that. I'm gonna really try to push the envelope of how sick humanity could be. And I think that's what's going to set this apart from a lot of the other stuff in this genre, because it's more usually, oh, scary zombies, oh, we have to survive. No, I'm gonna push the level of depravity that I can think of in order to really show how far I think we could fall.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
I like
think
that premise.
Yeah, people would be absolutely disgusting if nobody was there to, basically supervise them, really. I mean, or have any consequences. So I definitely like that, and I like that there's deeper meaning to it. So, I mean, that would be a lot of the inspiration you drew from this. What other kind of inspirations do you feel like you really put into this book?
So, I mean, I've been a huge fan of a lot of different types of stories, but I'm a huge fan of cinema. So
Yeah,
I even say that I write very cinematically. So my comic kind of reflects that. I feel like comics are very malleable. You can tell kind of any story you want, any way you want. But when I look at when I'm like writing my scripts for the artists, I'm like, okay, this is like an anime cutscene, or this is supposed to, like the close-ups when it's like in the anime, like that's what I want, and he puts that on there, and I draw inspiration from all forms of entertainment. Really, I can't narrow it down to one thing, but like I said, I definitely try to write it very cinematically. So when you're reading it, you're not just reading a story, but you're like living the story.
yeah, I think that's awesome. And actually, I did put together a video that I'm going to show probably at the end of this to kind of promote the comic, if you will, a little bit of a teaser. And definitely some of the things you just described, I see in a lot of the pictures. So, I mean, I think you're right on point with that.
Nice. Well, I actually have a question about your writing process. I know if you're taken in from multiple media, like not just being inspired by other comics, but also by cinema and possibly a lot of other things. Is there a specific way that you like to write? I know a lot of writers have a hugely different process. Like I just recently watched. Excuse me, real quick. I recently watched Mad Max Furiosa, and it's based off of Fury Road. And the way they made that story was they didn't do the script. They didn't do any dialogue. They just made pictures of what they wanted to happen. And that's how that was birthed. Do you have a different, unique thing that you do by any chance? Or
So yes and no. I mean, I don't know how unique it is because I don't know too many people who like talk about their writing styles and stuff like that. But what I do a lot is I kind of just focus. And this is a little different for me because this is originally a novel that I started almost 10 years ago. That I lost. It got stolen from my house. I was working on my laptop. My hard drive got stolen. So I have a long roadmap I made all the way back then that I'm basing a lot of what I'm writing on now. So like if people ask like, do you know how it's going to end? Do you know everything that's going to happen? I know how every spot we're going to go, but I'm going to let the story guide me to how to get to those spots and what happens in between those spots. Like I know we have to get to XYZ. How that happens can change.
Let it happen as it goes. Yeah.
With me and Martin, we really, and I finally realized this and helped get everything done a lot quicker. I write the whole issue or whatever I'm giving to him, and then as he draws it, and me, we talk about changing things here and there to make the comic flow better because he's really artistic, and so I give him full carte blanche. Like I say, this is what I've written. This is what I want you to do. If you have a better idea, you want to try something, let's do it. And then we kind of re-script it as we go. The final 2 pages I rewrote probably about 100 times because initially we're going to go one way and then we decided to go a different way. And then I adjusted for that. And then I was like, all right, it doesn't sound real enough. Like, I don't know if a real person would say that and someone just not in a comic, So I'm like, let me adjust that. And then we completely scrapped it and redid the last 2 pages all over again. We definitely, the writing process for me doesn't end until I hand it off to the letterer. So I don't know how other writers would like just hand it off to the artist and move on. I'm only working on one project, so I can, I guess, focus all of my attention on it. So I might be, I'm very lucky in that aspect, and I'm self-publishing it too. So I don't have a publisher or editor on my ass going, "Hey,
breathing down your neck."
When is this going to come out?" I don't rush art. I refuse to do that. So I'm very happy to say, as of literally 2 hours ago, issue 1 is 100% complete. It's going to be sent off to print for the SuperCon exclusive probably this weekend. But yeah, it was the last 2 pages have been a definitely trying little bastards there. They did not want to get finished. But we got it now, and it's insane.
Yeah, I like how you have that back and forth as a possibility with your artist. That's really cool. I like you don't really hear about that within you hear stories of Marvel writers and artists and DC and whatnot. Any of those big companies, as you said, you have that publisher breathing down your back, just pushing for it to get out and spending that extra time. I think that's really going to create a better product, and I'm very excited to see what y'all are doing.
No, I definitely agree, and then that's the corporate engine. Like they don't have the time to focus on every single title, so every single title is that much worse for it. I'm hoping I've got 3 or 4 other comics I'm formulating on to start writing as well. So I might get pulled away, but as of right now, this is nothing else has my attention. So it's definitely showing, and I'm very proud of what we've accomplished.
Yeah, it looks like it's very well done. So I hope you don't get pulled away and we lose any of that quality, because it definitely looks like a quality comic to me. So you're answering a lot of the questions that I was going to ask kind of as we go here. But so what are your plans as far as pushing the comic out, kind of getting it out into the mainstream a little bit? Like, what are you thinking about that as far as where you might go or what you might do?
So I truly feel that this book, and as coming from someone like me who doesn't give myself compliments very much, I feel like this book really has the potential to be something truly special. And little by little, it's gaining pretty much every convention I go to. It gets that much more attention and that much further. Like I went to MegaCon in Orlando and sold out of an exclusive. Someone who self-publishes a book, who gets their first convention exclusive ever and sells out, that doesn't happen, and I can't be, it's humbling. It's something that I am hungry and I'm going to drive for more, but every single experience makes me more and more comfortable with the fact that I'm doing the right thing. And I would love to be able to just, put thousands and thousands of dollars into promoting it and getting it into the right hands to get it distributed elsewhere. I'm working on a distribution deal with a small distribution company. I've spoken to a few of my local comic shops to get in there. When shortly after, maybe before I'll actually get it done and upload it, but I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter or another. It's actually a new platform that's doing just comics. So I'm going to reach out to them and see how it's kind of like Kickstarter, but only for comics. So I'm going to reach out to them and see if maybe we'll go through there. One way or another, it's a crowdfunded platform to help push it out. I did a Kickstarter for the Ashcan, fully funded. Again, a first-time projects, they don't usually get fully funded, and mine did. So I'm very much the type person that I'm not good enough to do this. There's no way. I can't argue with math and the selling out and the fully funding is that. And I can't argue with the King of Zombies, Arthur Sadum, who was 2 booths down from me at MegaCon, who did a remark on one of my blanks and then just started thumbing through it. He was like, "Who did this?" Me. You wrote it? Yeah. Who published it? Me. What? And then he's looking through, and for those who don't know, he's the guy who did the art for The Walking Dead, Marvel Zombies. He is the king of zombies. And he looked through my book and was like, "Wow, this is pretty cool. I like this."
He may be the king of
that's good feedback, yeah.
On this show, the King of Zombies is Romero. So putting that out there.
And I will not argue that in the slightest bit. But yes, in the comic world, they call him the King of Zombies.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that. But in my movie world psychopinion, it's Romero. So.
And I will definitely agree with that 100%.
With comics, if you read a zombie comic, it's probably by him.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just playing around. You know, we got the movie platform, so I just wanted to make my argument. You know, now we're delving into comics, so you know this show kind of goes in all sorts of directions anyway. So yeah. So let me see what I got here. So what is your? First of all, I want to say that I kind of admire the fact that I think that from what I'm hearing from you is it sounds like it's really important that this project stays in your hands, and I like
Oh
that
yes.
because
Oh yeah.
I hate when people get an idea and then they just sell it and then it does it kind of loses that heart, you know.
Yeah.
So I definitely admire that, and I definitely hope that you stick to your guns kind of on that. Um, but like, what is the? I was looking at your pictures, and I think it looks really cool. My vibe is, and I could be completely wrong here, but it almost felt to me like if you took like a mortal Deadpool type character and put them in like a Romero movie. That's kind of the vibe I got, and I really dug
Which
that.
which is really funny because I didn't even in the first issue even um the character is very much more Deadpool than anyone will realize really in the first issue. And I'm glad you caught that. I really am trying so hard when I write this to make subtle things. I don't want to shove any of the archetypes or anything down your throat. I want you to be able to be like, okay, I see what this is. And
Yeah.
he is very much Deadpool like where it's all fun and games. But there's also time when business got to get handled and it gets handled. But yeah, actually there's a lot more Deadpool style stuff coming down the line. It's definitely gonna be good. But yeah, to touch on what you said about holding the property, I have other books, like I said, that I'm in the process of working that I'm going to try to pitch to publishers to get them to pay me to do it, and they can own the rights. I don't care, whatever. This will never leave my hands for many reasons. The biggest of which is there's no way that the story I want to tell will be approved at any publishing house. So
That's a big selling point to a guy like
no
me.
one, no one's telling me no. So with a zombie book, and like I said, I'm gonna really push the envelope to try to really display how sick human beings could be in a world where they can literally get away with anything they want.
Yeah.
That is populated by monsters. Why not become one just like it? And the main character, he kind of feels that way. He feels he has to be a monster to not only get where they're going, but do what needs to be done. Because, and this is stuff that'll be revealed later. It's not too big of a spoiler, but they have a place that they're trying to make it to, a safe zone. Like in many zombie comics, they're on the road to get to the safe zone. You know, and
But how safe is the safe zone? It's never that safe.
Well,
You know?
I actually
don't spoil anything.
All I'm gonna say is I took extra, and I mean my OCD and just going down rabbit holes. I took such care to pick this one that once it's finally revealed, people are gonna go, "Yeah, you know what? They'd be fine there. You know what? If they made it there, they're fine. Never mind. All right, he wins."
You definitely got my mind racing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where it goes.
And I'll say this also, it is a real place.
Okay.
That makes it even
I'm
better.
very excited. So you see this being a series. Do you have any idea of kind of how, and I mean, you know, obviously you don't know completely, but kind of what kind of series you're looking into as far as, you know, are we talking about, you know, 100 books, a limited series? Are we talking, you know, what's kind of your dreams at this point for this project?
Honestly, I can't tell the story in less than 100. In my opinion, I'm sure I could, you know, cut certain things out, but I'm not going to, because again, this is my story, my property, self-publishing. I can decide to make 100 issues of it, and I without that. Granted, I could do time jumps, I could make it work in less, but it would rob the reader of the story.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to do that. Like I've been planning this for decades at this point now, and it's going to show in the story. And I'm very focused on making it appealing to not just readers, because some people don't care about the comic, like the story in the comic. They just want value. They want to try to buy something that they might be able to sell later. So I'm making it so that there will be collectible issues, like key issues that have first appearances, things like that. But you can't do every issue a key because then nothing is. So, in order to make this a worthwhile series, it has to be told over a long-term storytelling. Because it's a very slow burn.
Okay.
And the characters have to take a very long journey. And
I definitely need a copy of the first appearance of the shit-talking podcaster Jake. That's going to be a good one right there. That's going to be collectible as fuck. Let me ask you a question, though, and this is just like maybe getting kind of a little bit more into the movie show topic here. You probably have a lot more range with comics because we probably really don't know what overall the amount of time is. What's always kind of annoyed me a little bit about The Walking Dead, for example, is how fucking long can these zombies live? Like, 10 fucking years later, you still have, it's like, how the fuck are new zombies being made, and how are they surviving in the goddamn Georgia heat? Because I practically fucking decompose in fucking North Carolina heat. So, like, what the, and that's kind of always annoyed me a little bit. What's your opinion on that? Like, the longevity of a zombie?
Oh, absolutely. If you look at it in any type of real if you look at like a magical zombie, hell, they could have a spell that makes them not decompose or whatever. But if you're trying to have it grounded in any type of realism, a regular like Walking Dead zombie, after about a year, they would be no problem because, every time we take a step, the muscles break a little bit and then they heal over that. The zombies wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
So after a while, they would just be crawling and then not moving and then decomposing and be nothing. So in my book, what I did was I made they're zombies. They're the ones who were reanimated by the pandemic. Because I set my comic with a pandemic that killed a lot of the Earth's population. They all just reanimated at once.
It's what we thought COVID would be.
Right.
When they first came out with it. Everybody's like, oh my God, it's going to fucking kill everybody. Yeah.
But then if those zombies bite someone, they are then infected. And then they are more the running zombie, the more, I would say, I don't want to go so far as to say it's like the World War Z type in the movie, not in the comic, and then in the book, the movie, where they're just running and super crazy like that. But they're definitely the fast moving zombies that you would think of.
The rage virus style.
Right.
That's fucking badass though, because, and I've thought about this before because honestly, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a weirdo also, but I've thought a lot about the zombie apocalypse. Yep. I love Romero, Max Brooks. I don't know if you're familiar with his work or not, Zombie Survival Guide. And I watched Walking Dead until it got fucking ridiculous. So I would say that I'm a pretty good zombie fan, and that makes so much sense though, because if you think about it, if a zombie were to bite any one of us right now, we're going to be moving a lot better. We're going to be a lot faster. We're going to have better senses. But as time goes on, we're going to start to decay. We're going to start to lose our hearing, our smell, our taste, our organs will be rotting. Our muscles will be decaying, like you said, the tendons and everything. So that's actually probably one of the most realistic takes I've heard, is because, it seems to me like that would be the transition you'd have. You'd start off fast and kind of lose your shit after a while. And then eventually you just be a fucking, I don't know, talking skeleton if you want to go that far, I guess. But, even that's not very practical. But I dig that. I think that's a fucking awesome idea. That's always annoyed me about Walking Dead. So I'm just like, how the fuck, like, how many fucking groups of people are still fucking getting bitten and turning into fucking, you got swarms in season fucking 4.
At least in the Walking Dead's defense, they made everyone turn if they died. So anyone who is still living could technically just become a zombie and repopulate the zombie population. I don't like that. I feel I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. I feel like that's lazy. Because, everyone's got it. Everyone dies, becomes a zombie. Then where are the stakes?
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter then? If it's, again, we'll go back to if every book's a key, none of them are a key. Like, if everyone's a zombie, then who cares? Like,
if you're inevitably going to become a zombie, what are you working towards?
Right. There's only so far the human race can go if everyone has it. Unless, or are you going to say that every child that was born after has that much less and that much less? I mean, that the thought process to follow that is just exhausting. And I think that's very lazy. But again, Walking Dead is amazing.
I say fuck the haters, and if they got a problem with it, send them to me. I'll be happy to knock them down later too, because that's what I do. But all right. So let me see what else. Rob, what do you got? I'm sitting here going over my notes. You got anything you wanted to go ahead and add here?
I was wondering, is there any specific pieces of media? Like, is there a specific comic that made you want to do this? Or just inspired you? Maybe not to do this particularly, but something that inspired you to do this in general, that you read was like, this is the best thing. I want to do this myself.
Actually, it was the lack of. So I made my characters you wouldn't expect to be main characters in any type of horror story. A short male and I could say soccer mom. It wasn't really a soccer mom, but that's the easiest way to explain her at this point, because I don't want to give too much away about her backstory. Those two characters don't survive in horror stories. The short guy is the butt of the joke, and he dies early. Soccer mom's there to look good and die early. I saw a huge lack of representation for short males. I mean, if you look at like media across the board, short male characters are always in most cases the butt of the joke, or besides a select few, they just don't have any type of real character besides just being there as the token short person. So I saw that as an issue.
Unless you're Warwick Davis, then you're just fucking awesome. Throwing that out there. People that see the show know that that's my dude.
I would also say I'm trying to blank of his real name, but Tyrion Lannister too. That dude, Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Yep.
Yeah.
Dinklage can do no wrong. Long live the Dink.
Yeah, he's really good otherwise too. I've seen him in a few other movies, and I mean it's like they're really breaking down some stereotypes in my opinion, because I mean I see him as such a good actor. It's like I'm not even thinking anymore. The first thing I see about him is that he's short.
Right. They definitely need. There's definitely more need for that in entertainment as a whole. I mean, I'm barely 5'2" on a good day. I am a short little, basically a real life hobbit. And I've got thick skin. I grew up in New York. I don't have to, like, people can't make fun of me and hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? But I know there's a lot of people, adults or kids, that are short, and they don't see anything they can go, wow, that's a short person not being made fun of, or not. I made sure to put a short joke in the first issue while the main character is bashing in someone's brain. Like, I did a slow burn short joke through almost the entire second half of the issue, just to get that in there.
You're absolutely right.
I definitely just feel like I saw an open space, and I said, well, you know what? If no one else is going to do it, I will. And here we are.
Oh, hell, man. Maybe next year you need a fat guy. Just saying.
I'll say this 100%. I am so acutely aware and conscious of making sure there's representation in my book, not because it's the PC thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do, because that's how the world is. The world isn't just one way, or like, if you look at like Friends, I don't really have much to say about it bad, but the fact that there was like 3 black people on the entire show. Like,
wow, I never thought about that, but you're right.
There's like 9 seasons. Like, that in New York, that makes no sense. You know what I mean? Sense. And I understand, for whatever business reason or whatever they want to spin it as, it's not real. So if a body type exists, it will be in my book. That's how I look at it.
I'm gonna have Lizzo in there beating some zombie ass.
She's gonna have to pay me for it. I'm just saying. You got it. Don't pretend like you don't, Lizzo.
Oh, she's got it. She's got it. All right. Well, I do have another off the wall question because that's the kind of show we do here. But we would all like to know, because it's something we ask everybody, what is your favorite horror movie?
So my favorite horror movie, it's not really horror, but it does fit in. It's Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
If you talk about a movie that just, no matter the mood I'm in, I could be angry, I could be happy, I could be wanting to chill, wanting to focus, wanting to just have it on the background. It just has a little bit of everything, and I mean, and they're brilliant. Those guys, everything they do is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you talk about like a show, I have to admit that The Last of Us really, really impressed me. I didn't play the game, so like I don't know of any of the possible issues that way. But in terms of pure storytelling and acting and everything, it's one of the best seasons of cinema I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
fantastic.
That's bold.
Yeah, I was a big fan of it
I
too.
mean that.
I would recommend it to anyone.
Yes, you don't have to be like a horror type person, because and I consider my book a cross between The Walking Dead and The Last of Us, where The Last of Us is more about the people and how they survived and how dark they had to get to survive, and then like instead of having the quadricep zombies, you got the regular zombies. That's why I say it's a mix of the two.
Yeah.
But the Last of Us as a show alone, again, I can't speak too much in the game, but it was very, like, the storytelling was very well done, like to the point where I'm like sitting there like noticing, like, wow, they laid that 4 episodes ago. Holy crap, well done. Like it was very, I'm not one to praise a show and not have a single thing to complain about, and I couldn't think of a single thing to complain about for that show.
Yeah, that one's really interesting because it is based off a game, and I haven't played it either. I'm the gamer of the group. But what I've heard also about that show is it's great whether you have or have not played it.
Yeah.
But it still would be if you love the game, if it's one of your favorites, you're also going to love the show. They did it justice to the source material, and that is just a very rare occurrence.
They didn't change too much. They kind of, and what I liked about it is that they understood the medium that they were telling it in. So like in the game, it was a spore that is what came out of the zombies to like get you infected, and in the show they made it like tendrils, because it's kind of hard to explain in a TV show. In a game, you just kind of go, okay, spores, run from the spores. But in a TV show, they realized that it wouldn't really make sense, or it'd be hard to explain. So they just kind of made it as like an extension of their mouth, like almost like teeth. And they made that, like, some people were like, "Oh, it's not the spores. It's not the same." I'm like, really? If that's all they did wrong, then you need to shut up again and just enjoy the rest of the show, okay? Like, I'm sorry, but I really did like that. And Black Summer was another really good show that I really enjoyed. It's a spin-off. It's a prequel to, what's that show? Z Nation. The Z Nation was much more comical and kind of absurd. And then they did a prequel on Netflix that is super grounded, and it's just during the initial outbreak, which they called the Black Summer, and it was so good, like just really and gruesome. And I like how a lot of horror now is finally getting back to real horror and not just the CGI big scary monster coming out, because I got out of horror for a long time, around, about to say between like the late 90s to mid 2010s, because in that range they all just kind of we have this technology, everything is CGI now, the blood, the bad guys, everything, it's all, and for horror they just relied way too much on it, and the story suffered. And
I feel that 100%, especially like that era, the late 90s, the early 2000s, it was all a gimmick. Like, or you watch an old movie and there's like a 3D jump scare where it's coming at you.
Yeah.
And they do not age well. It was just something they were doing for the time. And even I feel like the stories just weren't that great. You go back to the
'cause
'80s.
they didn't have
you
to.
great stories, and then it's just a gimmick for like a decade and a half, or it feels like way too long for me.
In the early days, they used the special effects and all that stuff to accentuate the story. And then it got to a point right in the late 90s, early 2000s, where it became so cheap and so advanced to use CGI that the story started to accentuate the CGI.
Yep.
And I am glad to see that people kind of put their foot down, for lack of a better term, and the studios had to adapt. And now the horror side, at least, they're getting back to basics and using the special effects and CGI to help tell the story instead of it being a byproduct of the story.
I feel like I could argue that, and the fact that I'm a huge horror fan, and I think that probably I could sit here and find amazing horror movies made every fucking year from the time horror started until now. I don't know. I mean, I always try to find the good in some things, and I probably have quite a few movies from late 90s, early 2000s. Not that I'm saying that there's no validity to what you gentlemen are speaking of, but
there's definitely except. I mean, like look at The Faculty. Like that movie was amazing. You know, there's definitely high points as well. And that's another thing about when you kind of look at ranking or judging anything. There's always exceptions to every single rule. There is not anything you can say about any type of entertainment that is 100% across the board correct for every single thing.
Is there anybody else that when you think of The Faculty, you automatically think of disturbing behavior? Is that just me? Is that just me? I always pair those two together. Fuck it. So I wanted to go back to what you said. Shaun of the Dead is a great film. I personally, as far as the zombie comedy genre, I feel like that movie was dwarfed, no pun intended, by Zombieland. Zombieland is my shit. Like if I'm gonna watch a funny fucking zombie movie, Zombieland is my go-to, and the second one was just as gold as the first one, in my opinion.
The first one, out of control, perfect. If anyone complains about Zombieland 1, you're wrong. Sorry, your opinion is allowed. You're allowed to have it, but it's an incorrect one. That's all I'm saying. I can see some issues with the second one where people, I can nitpick like, I don't know if I like that. But what they did was in that movie, in Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland, they gave you very real characters. Like you got like the scared skinny dude. You got the badass who just wants to kill everything because it wasn't his dog. I thought it was his kid, but I was gonna say his dog got attacked, you know. And then you look at Shaun of the Dead. You got the I just want to get to the girl I love. I don't care about anything else, you know. And the realer the characters, the more entertaining every aspect of what they do can be. But we're talking about two of the greatest of all time. So you can't go wrong with either one.
See, the funny thing about Zombieland 2 is that my favorite character, and I've said this in a previous show, was very unexpected. I actually ended up liking that Madison character, had me laughing.
Yes.
Just like, that girl was so fucking over the top ridiculous. Like, I literally almost pissed myself when she came on and just the shit she said and how she was. I don't know. She was fucking brilliant, in my opinion, as far as just being the most hilariously annoying person I've ever seen in my life. And every time we talk
when it was good, it's good too, because you look at, like, again, that's a character that would exist because she literally just hid in the mall. You're like, you know what? Yes, I believe that 100%. She was in the mall, zombies attacked. She's like, oh my God, I'm going to hide. And then she just kept hiding. Like, it's like, yes, that is perfect. And again, you look at these characters, it's not like, there's no like badass SWAT guy that's just going and killing everything, you know. Like, these are real people, and that's I think one thing that sets those apart from other zombie shows and movies is that they give you that real person feel versus like a character in the movie.
You know what I gotta say I kind of liked about, let's say, like Woody Harrelson's character versus, say, like a Rick Grimes type character, is that it almost seemed to me like a lot of the characters in Walking Dead, like, were they really even alive anymore? You know what I'm saying? Like, because they were just so fucking run down and beaten and stressed. And I mean, even though it is a comedy, and I totally understand that, it's like, I think Woody Harrelson, to me, it's like that's the right amount of fucked up and humor and sickness and humanity, in my opinion,
Yes.
that would make living worth it in that kind of situation. I mean, they still had fun. They're still playing games and things like that. You know, and I don't know what it'd be like in that situation. But in Walking Dead, like I said, it's like, was Rick Grimes ever really still alive after that, after it started? Because it just seemed like those characters. I mean, what was the point? You know, with some of them,
Right.
it's just a terrible fucking existence. You know, no quality of fucking life.
No, and that's the thing. You know, I don't know how much I really like Walking Dead that much, other than it was the only zombie show at the time, because there's not enough comedy, and not because I like funny things. So many people use comedy as a coping mechanism. They can't help it. There'll be nervous laughter or someone trying to tell a joke, or it's just not real. And then when you look at like Zombieland with his character, he knew that he was broken on the inside, but he still found moments to enjoy the fact that he was alive, to feel that.
What rule was it? It was like rule something. The little things.
Yeah, enjoy the little things.
Yep.
Little things.
Simple as that. And I agree with that entirely. And I think that, and also if you look at like Columbus, the other character, he tried desperately to use comedy to ease the situations with him.
Yeah.
So like he didn't do it very well because it's so awkward and off-putting, but he at least that was his first instinct, was to be funny. Like even at the very first meeting, he's behind the motorcycle holding the gun, and then he just puts out his thumb like, oh, I'm trying to be funny. Like that's how real people would act.
Yeah.
You know, and versus in The Walking Dead where it's like, I'm gonna kill them or we have to run. No one's laughing. No one seems to care that life exists. And what's the point if that's the case?
Yeah, who the fuck knows who you'd end up with in that kind of situation, quite honestly. I mean, you're going to end up with all kinds of fucking weirdos and people different than you and interesting people. And I mean, especially when you do have those moments of safety, it's like, why was nobody ever having a good fucking time in Walking Dead? Like, ever. Like, nobody was ever like, hey, let's go fucking have a good time. Like, we haven't seen zombies in a couple weeks. Let's go fucking play some kickball or some shit, you know? I mean,
yeah.
If that did happen, I missed it, but it's like nobody was. It's like everybody just forgot.
They had it very momentarily on the farm until the situation arose with the barn.
Yeah.
If the barn never happens, they are happy and living and enjoying life and just living off the land. But because that whole thing, the shitstorm that came from that, took their one happiness away, because from then on out it was get to the CDC, find out the bad news that everyone's infected, get to the prison, we have to kill all these zombies, and now we're fighting these people and fighting those people. They didn't ever, maybe that's part of the way they were telling the story, but again, to not have any characters that were at least even getting yelled at for trying to be funny. You know, if you want to keep that serious tone, someone at least has to be in the scene to try to act human, instead of a character in the story.
Yeah, I'd be saying all kinds of dark, fucked up jokes and things. Because I mean, at that point, it's like a lot of people say, if you can't laugh at it, I mean, what's the point, And fucking, it threw me off, and I don't want to go too long here because I definitely, don't want to, overdo the topic or anything, but. And I've said this in a previous show, but since you are such a fan of Walking Dead, I stopped watching literally the moment that they did not kill Negan. Because I was like, fuck that. That guy did so much shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, somebody should have walked up and stabbed that motherfucker in the throat. I'm just saying, like,
yes.
You can't do that much shit to a group of people and then just like, they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Now is the time to forgive. Like, now is the time to fucking forgive. I literally was like, I can't fucking buy into this anymore.
So I got a lot further in the comics because I read those prior to me starting the actual writing of this comic book. But I stopped watching a lot sooner, but for a different reason entirely. I started noticing similarities. Like one of the, when Morgan showed back up, that very much reminded me of my main character at the beginning of the story. So I was like, ooh, you know what? I'm going to take a step back and stop watching this. I let myself watch The Last of Us because it was the quadricep zombies. I was like, okay, it's different enough. It's only going to influence me so much. That's fine. We'll watch that. But I try to stay away from most zombie content that's grounded. Like the Zack Snyder, the one that he did for Netflix. I watched that because it was just outrageous. You know, like it wasn't like the whole concept of it only stayed here and super zombies that didn't ever sneak out. Like, okay, you know what? This is so out of the blue, not real. I can watch this. But I stopped watching Walking Dead before that. But I did see like those clips, and I agree 100%. It didn't have to be hell. Fine, Rick in trying to be the great leader doesn't kill him and convinces Michonne not to. Fine. Maggie should have been killed trying to kill him. Like there should have been nothing that stopped her. But even if you didn't want to make it a main character, just to save those characters from being a murderer or whatever, because some people, and that's the thing, a lot of people can't look at killing anyone for any reason. So even how bad he was, no one deserves to die. I disagree, but that's neither here nor there.
So fuck it.
Every single second is one step closer to being dead. So live it up as you can. But someone, like even if it was like the guard or whatever, some random person in the town just going in at night and just shivving him in his sleep, like someone would have taken that guy out. I agree 100%.
I would have, and I've been there. I would have.
Yeah,
they could have kissed my ass. I'd have been like, you want to start forgiving people? Forgive me.
Right. So now I'm not forgiven, but this guy was. Oh, I see. Why? Because he's tall, dark, and handsome? This bullshit. Like,
fuck that. Even though I do really like him as an actor.
Oh, he's amazing. God, everything he's in, he's can't miss.
So Rob,
he can be in a scene for 2 seconds, and I'm still so happy he's there.
Oh yeah, he's fucking great. He's fantastic. Rob, I'm probably gonna start wrapping up here in a second, man. Did you have anything else you wanted to add or ask while we've got the man, the myth, the legend in front of us?
Well, I'm very excited to read it when it actually does come out. Just send us some information, and we'll try to share it as well, and try to spread a little bit of word for you.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. Good.
That being said, man, I mean, we do this show at least once a week. Sometimes we do some specials like this one here, and please keep us abreast of the situation. If you have anything new to plug or anything else that you'd like to discuss, or if you just want to come on the show for fun sometime, just let me know. I've definitely the door's always open to you, and I definitely want to kind of follow you through this journey and see where we go and how we end up, and talk about your ideas more, and maybe we can talk about the stories a little bit more once they're out there and people have read them. I definitely understand why we're being a little elusive about it at this point, because hell, I mean, right now I'm super excited to read the fucking story. I don't know everything about it, and you quit paying me a little bit here, quit pong me a little bit, whatever. So yeah, absolutely, man. I would definitely like to stick with you through this journey. So please keep us in the loop about everything. And I'm looking forward to seeing the, shit talking fucking podcaster on there that happens to look a little bit like me.
Yeah. Well, and definitely. And then the first issue will debut at Florida SuperCon next month, July 11th through the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. And so that will be an exclusive. That'll only be at the convention. But shortly after that, the Kickstarter or one of the platforms will launch the first full issue. I should have my distribution deal as well set in line by then, so should be able to just push it out to a whole bunch of shops, but without much effort because they're taking care of a lot of that. If you have like a local comic shop that you think might be interested, send them my way. I'm doing it all myself. I can send it to wherever.
We actually
we shop in China. I'll send it there. I don't care.
Yeah, we do actually have a shop around here that I'm thinking about, and just so you know, any viewers that I have that are listening right now, I will be showing you the physical copy of this comic that I get when Kyle sends it to me. So if you don't see me in the next however long, like, hey, fuck, the comic came in, Kyle's a dick. Don't buy his comic. As long as I have that comic in my hand, though. Kyle's the man, and it better be autographed. Anyway,
I'll even remark it for you too. I've been working on that.
I've got some comics hanging around the studio. Ones that I really enjoy. Rob's seeing them; they're fucking amazing. And I'd definitely like to add yours to the collection. So, I've got nice cases.
As much as you like horror, that is a badge of honor that I will gladly wear. And that's the thing. I want people to want these, not because, just because it's there. If it's good, people are going to want it. But I know people who know me and understand how crazy I am. They're like, oh, if he's writing it, yeah, we're getting on this train right now before it's too late.
Well, Rob and I will make sure that we have a moment where we delicately look over each other's shoulders while we check out this comic book when it's sent to me. So, hell, actually, maybe we might even do a little bit of a review and have you back on for that after we see it, so we can talk about it, once we're acquainted. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, unless you have anything else you'd like to add, any shout outs or anything, I'm going to wrap up this video with a really fucking sweet teaser of the kind of comic and some of the pictures and what you can expect. And we'll definitely be following up on this. And now I'm going to give Kyle a chance for his shout out.
So with that being said, I want to shout out Martin, the artist, Martin Dejanay, Olivier Dejanay. He's a Canadian artist, absolutely insanely talented. My letterer, Tyrone, he knocks everything out the park as well. Shout out to the 305 Miami Comics crew, who I will be with at SuperCon. Tina Michelle, the cover artist, is also co-owner of 305. I will be there. We'll be there signing autographs for free. Remark and grading options available. So if you're in the Miami area, come check us out, Florida SuperCon.
Well, yeah, that sounds awesome. I wish I was in the Miami area. Rob and I would be there. But
yeah, I wish I was there too.
Unfortunately, we're here. With that being said, here is the sweet, awesome fucking comic book teaser, and we'll be following up. Thank you, Kyle, for being on, man.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us.
You've been listening to Psychopinion. If it's anything horror, we're talking about it.